welcome to the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. We're calling it to order. Our apologies on being a few minutes late. There were some technical difficulties, but we are now live, and so everybody will be able to see us on TV as well, so that the whole city can see. I'd like to recognize here on the dais with me is Paul McDaniel. He's a member of our committee, and Council President Linda Kochmar. Joining us by Zoom is committee member Lydia Asefa-Dawson, so she is here as well. So is there any public comment?
No, there's not.
No public comment? All right, we will go on to committee business. A is the approval of the October 10, 2023 minutes.
I make a motion to approve the approval of October 10th, 2023 minutes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It is unanimous. All right, next, we are ready for item B, report on the PAEC operations. And for that, yes, go ahead.
Good evening, Chair Walsh, Council President, Coach Marr, and committee members. I'm Autumn Gressick, Contract Administrator and Community Relations Liaison, joined tonight by Brian Hoffman, our General Manager for the Performing Arts and Events Center. I'm going to turn it over to him, and he will provide you tonight's monthly update.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully I can get this right, but we kind of are going with a little different format than we historically have done, and welcome any feedback and how you folks would like to see and retain this information in the future as we move forward and continue to make changes. So this was previously sent. This is a overview of October, our events load that we had here. So the entire month of October, as you can see at quick glance, there was approximately 5 days where there was nothing going on in the building. So approximately 26 event days out of the 31 that were held in the month of October. This is a list of a handful of those events, everything from our dinners and things that were held in the event space, to our ticketed events, to our symphony rehearsals, and the kickoff of their 41st year season. The Federal Way Symphony did that this October, and then finally have held our Arts for Youth program. 2 of those were held in the month of October. The first one on October 10th with How to Survive Middle School, and then the other one on October 30th, The Call of the Wild. Between the two, those 2 performances, we had approximately 600 students from the Federal Way School District that attended live theater. Continue finally, again, as I mentioned, that have that program up and going. For the year here, we have approximately 22,177 tickets that have been sold through October 31st for events held at the theater. And then this is, again, something new that we are providing feedback for the council members. And this is kind of a short little blurb that we received from one of our user groups that held their performance in October. Actually, this was from the Federal Way Symphony, was one of our resident arts organization folks. And then next, we just have some, again, featured events on the left. this is our, on the left, excuse me, all three of them are for our Arts for Youth program. And then again, just kind of recapping, we had 24 usage days in the month of October versus the 13 the year before, and then close to 700 guests that attended events that were held in our event space. So those are non-theater or non-ticketed events. And then kind of a marketing overview. This is some analytics in regards to our website traffic, some of our Google ad metrics. You know, I'll be very frank, I don't know a lot about this or in depth, you know, as this is provided and done by our marketing team and the folks that host our website. So, but it kind of gives a brief overview just to kind of highlight some things, the top 10 landing pages on our website for particular events, you know, where folks are coming from, where their URL is directing them from. Seattle, the #1 with over 8,000 views on our website. So this helps us kind of guide and provide a little bit of a roadmap on where the best dollars can be spent for advertising and where our folks are checking out our events, where they're from, and then which is leading to ticket sales and where they're from. Again, some continued October marketing information with our database, email database size, close to 16,000, our open rate and click rate. The email direct revenue, $13,360. That is every email blast that we send out. There is, I would say not everyone, most of them, there is a ticket link, buy tickets here. And we can track that exact ticket sales right from that link or that button that was pushed. So in October, the emails that we sent out, we generated $13,360 just from sending email blasts to our database and our ticket buyers. And then other marketing, you know, our #1 thing that we use is Facebook and Instagram. So provided some basic information there with our followers, how many people we reached, and how many paid reached individuals that we had. The next slide provides where we are financially. Most of this presentation has been on October events. However, this slide represents revenues through September. So as you can see in the far left column, column A, those are September actuals for the month. Column B provides the year-to-date, January through September 30th. C is the remaining year, October through December. And then D is all of that, those totals. So as you can see, we had a very good month, you know, with ticket revenue and our rental revenue. And really across the board, we had meet or exceeded each of those budgetary or metrics that we have in place. And then trending very well through the September 30th, and then for the rest of the year, really right on track with where we expect to be. This is another slide. This map here shows where all of our ticket buyers are from across the country and across the globe. As you can see out there in the North Pacific Ocean, that's actually where people, or where their credit card is associated with, that bought tickets to attend events at the Performing Arts and Event Center. And then, again, one of the things that we will continue to update this council on is the economic impact. So for the month of October, we had 280 hotel room nights at the La Quinta. Those are specific room nights that those folks attended events at the PAC, or there was an event held at the PAC that were associated with those 280 room nights. I do not have the other hotel rooms, so I can't give you the full scope of the city. But we have a great partnership with the La Quinta as our preferred or host hotel. And these are those numbers, and continuing to work with the other hoteliers to get that information as well, as we continue to provide this economic impact for the group. And with that, happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability.
All right. Thank you very much, Brian, for the presentation. And let's start with Paul.
Hey, thanks again. Real quick, the very first one you had for the calendar, I did like it. I'd appreciate if you guys could color code it, just so I could see what is like the youth, what is actually a paid one, or, kind of breaking it out so we can just visualize and see how that's split up. I actually kind of like looking at how full the calendar is for that. For the La Quinta, how did you guys determine the bookings? Is that something you guys have been working with them on? Because I know in the past we weren't able to be able to quantify that, but 280 seems like a nice number, at least have a baseline. How was that determined?
So a combination of both. Some were directly booked through myself or the staff on behalf of an artist, the artist representative. Sometimes the agent will book them, and we say, hey, the hotel is right across the street. In October, probably the two bigger factors were the Evergreen District Barbershop Competition. That was a multi-day event. They used the La Quinta as their host hotel. They booked all of those rooms on their own, and came up with the rate and the block booking, as well as at the end of the month, it was Miss Washington volunteer pageant that did the same thing, that the La Quinta was their host hotel.
Gotcha.
So in September, for an example, one of the bodybuilding events that we had, the Courtyard by Marriott was their host hotel.
Gotcha.
So again, sometimes it's up to the user group on what rate they can negotiate with the area hotel.
Yeah. Is that something we might be able to see more often then, is trying to get a little bit of glimpse of data like that then?
Yes, that is our goal.
Awesome. And then for the C on the not spreadsheet, but the columnized profits for projected revenue, is that based off of current ticket sales, like already purchased tickets, they just haven't been, the events haven't happened?
Correct. Yep, that's what that is based off of. When this report was complete, we were still in the month of October, so some of that was not completing, but also forecasting what we will have through the remainder of October, as well as November and December.
Gotcha. Last two questions. I was able to look at some of the financial statements just to get a better understanding. And one of the line items, I'm not sure what it is promoter proceeds. What is promoter proceeds? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so promoter proceeds are, you rent the venue, and say you sold $50,000 worth of ticket sales.
Yeah.
The cost, the expenses associated with the Performing Arts and Event Center were $20,000. The promoter proceeds would give you back the $30,000.
Is it kind of like a finder's fee, or is it?
No, it's just the revenue for that particular event has exceeded the expenses associated with that event for the promoter that comes in or rents the building. It's just a industry term that we use. Some people call it a user group, some people call it the renter group. The Federal Way Symphony is a promoter. That's
Okay.
their promoter proceeds.
Oh, gotcha. And then I'll probably ask questions offline on that one a little bit more. And the last one is probably the most, curious one for most of us. How do we look this month? I know we've determined that it's not going to be a super profitable, but was this a good month for revenue versus expenses? Or is it in line? Is it, how is it looking for the overall, overall?
When you say this month, October?
Oh, I'm going to say September's probably the only numbers you actually have legitimacy for, correct?
September is, but I can give you a brief overview for October.
I'll take them both.
So September, yes, we beat budget for the month of September, and then for October, was a very successful event with all the events going on. We beat budget by approximately $42,000 for the month of October. At quick glance, somewhere in the neighborhood of close to, sorry, it's on my phone. So, a little over, close to about 3,000 people that paid for tickets. and beat budget by approximately $44,000 for the month of October. And then pacing through October, through the remainder of the year, on pace to beat budget by close to $55,000.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Linda.
So, thank you very much, Ryan. So, I do like the fact that you appear to be getting more people into the pack on a nightly basis, whether they're, maybe they're just paying $40 like for late night catechism or, full price or but I like to see it really used a lot. But what would help me is when you do your revenues, I'd like to see the expenditures along with it. Now, when you say beat budget, I'm not real clear what that means. So it would help me to know with revenue, because you're not including the expenditures, and we need to see that part as well.
Okay. I'm just jotting down some notes for next time.
Thank you. And I do like your new format. Thank you.
Lydia, do you have any questions? I don't see you.
Yes, thank you. I do. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Just a curious question with the Arts for Youth, right? Is that what it's called? And then you had middle schoolers on one of your screens. There were 2 events that were conducted.
Correct.
I just wanted. Can you tell me? Can you tell us a little bit about both? Yeah, one was the How to Survive Middle School, and then the second one I can't tell. I can't see. It's covered by your screen thing here, but I just wanted to.
Yeah,
hear a little bit
what
about
information
those.
are you looking for so I can provide?
What? Yeah. So the kids were there. Grants. I just want to know what the programs are and yeah, what it was about.
Okay, so
Do you
the
know-
Arts
do you
for
know?
Youth, the first one was How to Survive Middle School. Again, there was approximately 135 students from, I believe it was 2nd grade to 4th grade or 5th grade. It was a 1-hour program with an individual that travels around and talks to the students on how to survive middle school. And it talks about bullying. It talks about the outcast, the shy person, maybe somebody with autism. I'll be very frank, I didn't sit and watch the show, so I just know
Okay.
a little bit of what was going on. And so that was the first one. And then the second one was Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild is a book that is read. Again, it kind of targeted that middle school age demographic. So it was a book that they were reading, had finished, or are currently reading. And this brought certain aspects of that book to life onto the stage. Both of those programs and all of the programs are funded by the Arts Foundation of Federal Way. So we have a budget, we work with the Arts Foundation, they cover the costs and the expenses of the event, the staff, the buses for the kids, and so that's who covers that program. I hope that was some of the information you were looking for.
Yes. And how do those 100 or so students selected? Do you know?
We work with the district, and the district will work with each principal or each school, and then they will say or reserve, XYZ students for each particular program.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It sounds like a good program, and I was just curious about it. And it also shows the partnership that we continue to have with the school district. So I think it's great. I just was curious. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, and it looks like I'll try to use the right terminology better. Councilmember McDaniels has another question.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do just a follow-up to President Kochmar's comment. I think what we're looking for is the operating income or loss, kind of getting a basic understanding of the revenue, the expense, and then actually where we're sitting for the project for the month.
Okay.
And, okay, and I have a couple of great they've answered, or they've already presented most of the questions. On the revenue page, I think what would be great is at the bottom of it, for each category, it seems like it'd be appropriate to have a total, or for each period. You know, for example, in September, we have total ticket revenue, rental revenue, facility fees, food and beverage revenue, but we don't have a total of them all at the bottom. So,
Okay.
it seems that that would be helpful on that. Is there a reason that's, okay, all right,
128,000, just quick math,
okay, yeah, so
give or
anyway.
take.
Yeah, so if you can help us, those that are mathematically challenged. Thanks, Brian.
No, that was just quick math. It didn't mean to come out like that, sir.
No, that's, so, I love the calendar on there, and as Councilwoman McDaniel said, you know, color coding it for the different categories would be great. But also, that was for October, right? Mm-hmm. You know, now in November, you already have the events planned and scheduled, so it'd be great to show the current month
We're out in
also.
November. We're into December already.
Or anyway,
Yeah.
but also so that we can see what's current or upcoming as well as what's past.
Sure.
And I think that would be great. And then with the website hits, you know, the vast bulk of them were Seattle. Is that where most of the ticket sales are also?
It really varies on the event. You know, this past Sunday, as Council President Kochmar mentioned, we had late night catechism. Quite a few of those folks were from Maple Valley, Spanaway, Federal Way, kind of more South Seattle. Tomorrow's show for Jake, I can never pronounce his last name, Shukumbura. A lot of them are in the Federal Way, Kent, Des Moines area because he's playing further north. So we're not seeing some of those folks come down our area. So it really depends on the event. These are just folks that are going to our website, and some of these don't necessarily lead into ticket sales either.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of interesting to know with the people that are actually purchasing tickets, what part of them are locals and what part we're bringing in from other areas.
Yeah, and that's what this map kind of shows, and moving forward, I can really hone in on Washington itself, and you'll see,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
as you kind of zoom in.
Yeah.
But again, for the first time and kind of a new format, just wanted to get your feedback on how we proceed moving
Yeah,
forward.
I think it's great. I think it's great to have a worldwide one like that, and then another one that does zoom in.
Sure.
So that'd be helpful, I think. If there's no other questions, thank you very much. Great presentation, and I personally like that format.
Thank you. And one last shameless plug, on Saturday, November 25th, we have a free holiday event going on at the PAC with pictures with Mr. and Mrs. Claus, face painting, kids' activities, and the movie Jack Frost that is playing. And that's all free, open to the public, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on November 25th.
Do they just show up, first come, first served?
It's open. Yep.
All right. All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
I don't know how to
Thank
get
you,
out
Autumn.
of here, so.
All right. So on to item C, community fireworks display for the Red, White, and Blues Festival contract.
Good evening, Committee Chair Walsh, Council President Kochmar, and committee members. My name is Kevin Hutchinson. I am the the Recreation Manager for the Parks Department in the City of Federal Way. I'm here tonight with a policy question. Should the city enter into a contract with Western Display Fireworks LTD for community fireworks display for the Red, White, and Blues Festival for the years 2024 to 2026? Your options considered are to approve the contract or to not approve and provide direction to staff. As most of you know, our Red, White, and Blues Festival is our largest special event of the year. We serve about 20,000 people with a awesome children's activities, main stage acts, and a 20-minute firework display at the end to celebrate the 4th of July. And so this is our second year. We're looking to go with Western Fireworks Display contract, and we're hoping to get a longer-term contract with them because we had a great experience with them last year, and hopefully you guys saw the amazing fireworks display that they had. And so I'm here to answer any questions you may have regarding that.
All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
My only question is drones. Do they offer drone capabilities? And that was something that I did see some drone ones last year, and I know that's kind of where we're going in the future.
Yeah.
This is a 3-year contract, so it would kind of lock us in.
Right.
Did anybody provide, what's the cost difference on a drone?
Yeah, I've done some research on that. This particular company does not offer drones. With the costs associated with drones, they're generally for a 20-minute display would be upwards of at least $100,000, upwards of $150,000 for many of those displays. So right now, it's not very cost effective with the sponsorships that we get, but definitely in the future, that is something that I'm interested in as well, just for environmental purposes, noise reduction and things like that. So definitely it's on our radar and something that we'll continue to pursue in the future.
And I wanted to say it was local, was it Des Moines?
Yeah.
One of the local ones? Do you know what they paid for theirs? Was it with the 6 figures or was
It was, I believe, I know John had reached out to them and got maybe a closer figure than what I can.
Yeah, we reached out, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was way more expensive than ours. I also talked with one of our fire officials who actually attended the show, and they're not there yet. It's close, but you have to have so many drones up in the air, and they're very expensive per drone. You'd have to have upwards of 100 drones to replicate any kind of show with any kind of speed because they have to reset and then do the next display. They're cool. They have some neat capability.
Oh, yeah, they look
but until they can get more affordable, which we do see coming, and technology's moving fast, but we're not there yet, and it's very, very expensive. So, and people really do love the fireworks aspect. I agree with Kevin on the impact on and fire danger of regular fireworks, along with noise and wildlife and mess. Clearly, those are all part of the equation, but it is quite a bit more expensive now. But we do see that may be the future down the road a bit.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Oh, yes, Councilmember Sefadossin. I didn't have my mic
Yeah,
on, so you didn't hear me.
Oh, it's okay. So, John, I do I wonder, since cost is what's prohibiting us, can we start looking for corporate sponsorships?
That's a possibility,
As an
but
option.
again, the concern is the dollar amount would be so high, I don't know that you'd get corporate sponsorships to cover the cost of the amount of drones that you'd need. Like I said, we wouldn't even consider starting this without at least 100 drones for one show, and frankly, that would be the barest minimum. And in my opinion, based on what I saw from the video at the Des Moines show, people would be overwhelmingly disappointed at where we're at today compared to the fireworks show. But certainly not against seeking corporate sponsorship down the road. That would be a possibility.
And I'll follow up too. We do have a couple of sponsors, Red Canoe and Waste Management were our main sponsors last year. And I am going to work, this is my first year in this current position, but to revamp our sponsorship package and go out to other organizations and corporations as well, especially ones that are moving into Federal Way, are new to Federal Way. It is our largest event in Federal Way, so there's a lot of publicity that corporations or other organizations can have from this event.
So,
Great.
quick
Thanks.
question. Did you have another question?
No, I was just saying thank you.
Okay, all right. What this last year, what percentage of the cost was defrayed by sponsorships?
I think it was about 30%. I think we
Okay.
had a 3,000 and a 2,000, so about yeah, 25% was deferred by sponsorships.
All right. And to me, this last year was the first year for this to me, I mean, I've missed some years, but most years I've been there, and I think this last year, I think it was the best show we've had. But like I say, I haven't been there every year, but
I would agree with you.
I see a lot of heads nodding that, yeah. I was very favorably impressed this last year.
Yeah, we're very happy
I
with them.
agree.
We work together well with them, so.
So, all right, yeah, if they do a show like that and then they're good to work with, that's a double win, so. All right, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay, I move approval of the proposed fireworks display agreement as presented and authorize execution of the agreement. No,
I
I
think
lied.
it-
Sorry. I move to forward the proposed fireworks display agreement to the November 21, 2023 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, it carries unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Hope to
All
see you all
right.
there in 2024.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. All right. And next, the item D, staffing position control change at the Federal Way Community Center. Mr. Ellsworth.
Yes, good evening, Chair Walsh and Council President Kochmar and council members. Before you tonight, we have a staffing position control change policy question. In 2010, in our aquatics department, we had 3 full-time employees that ran out of department all the way up until COVID hit, closed down the community center. And during COVID in that time, one of our employees decided to depart ways from the city. They moved into a completely different area and professional field, and so that left us with 2 staff members for the aquatics department. And as we opened back up during COVID, kind of slowly allowing more and more people into the community center, we found that we were able to operate the aquatics department with just 2 staff members and be very successful that way. So left us with an open position at the community center, and what we are finding is that we are having more and more trouble kind of meeting the needs at our membership services desk. So answering all of the phone calls, all of the emails, all the voicemails that are left throughout the day. And what we would like to do is transfer that 3rd position over to the membership services desk and become an office technician at our front desk.
All right. Okay, Councilmember McDaniels.
What does the aquatics department actually do? What was that position that's being?
So the position was a lead lifeguard, and they have a multitude of roles, anywhere from pool chemical maintenance to lifeguard supervision or swim instructor supervision.
Okay, that was it.
All right. Quick question. So for that front desk, what's is member services?
Yep,
as
it'll
well?
be an office technician will be the title of the position, but they'll support the membership services coordinator, work a little bit later hours into the evening and on the weekends as well.
Okay.
So we'll get more support at night and on the weekends.
So how many people are in that department currently?
Currently in the membership services, we have 1 full-time employee and about 15 or 16 part-time folks.
Okay. All right. So this would be another full-time?
Yes,
then.
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have a motion?
I moved for the community center position control change as proposed to the November 21st, 2023 City Council consent agenda for approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have item E, Systems for Public Safety Agreement Amendment 3.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Brian Klingel. I'm a recently promoted commander for the Federal Way Police Department. I have a policy question tonight regarding the Systems for Public Safety Agreement. And the policy question is, should the City Council approve Amendment 3 for the agreement with Systems for Public Safety to increase compensation and extend the term to cover remaining upfitting expenses for scheduled replacement reserve vehicles and the 28 approved new police vehicles? Just a little bit more about this. This is money that was already previously approved by the city council to purchase 28 model year 2023 police vehicles. We had a delay in receiving our patrol cars, which caused the contract to potentially expire, creating the need to extend this contract. This will also set the pricing for future installations of fully marked police cars, unmarked emergency vehicles like detective cars, and equipment upgrades that may need to be occurred during this contract time. Finally, this request is needed to equip the 28 police vehicles that were already previously approved, and the total amount requested is not to exceed $850,000. And what questions may you have?
Councilmember McDaniel.
So this is to take the stock cars and then add everything needed to make them into police vehicles? Is that the understanding?
So we buy vehicles that are designed to be a police car. So like if you go buy an Explorer at the Ford dealership, that's not the same, the one that the public would drive is not the same one that we buy for police vehicles. They upgrade the brakes, they upgrade suspension, heating system, and a lot of them is they're pre-wired for the lights, the siren, the computers in the car. So they may look the same, but just mostly interior-wise, they're different. They're specially built for police vehicles, sir.
And the price we're talking about here is not for that part, it's for the actual adding the lights and everything else to them, correct?
Yes, this is the installation. Sorry about that, sir.
Oh, no,
Yes.
it's all good. And then the second one is, this is just to extend the contract because of the timing of the vehicles?
Yeah. So based on the pandemic and delay from manufacturer Ford specifically, that's who is the company we buy our vehicles from. The delay caused this contract to potentially expire. So we're just looking to extend it to get these vehicles outfitted.
Was there any price increase?
There was not.
Okay.
Okay.
That was it.
All right, Councilmember Asif
Yes, so is there like a 3-year limit on this then, on the term? Because it says no later than December 31, 2026 for the completion of the services. So there's 3 years to complete the project? Is
No,
that what I'm reading? Uh-huh.
No, so these vehicles that we're waiting on, they're starting to trickle in. There's several of them are parked across the street where some employees park. So we're just waiting, we're just trying to get the vehicles in. So we want to extend the contract to give us time to get these vehicles installed. But as soon as we can get them installed, we want to deploy them out on the road there, ma'am.
Okay, so I just wanted to understand, what's that date? What does it refer to then?
So to be honest, I'm not really completely sure of the extension of why we need that date. But for sure, it is to ensure that these vehicles are outfitted and deployed to the vehicles, outfitted to deploy out on the road. But I can find that answer out why we need that extra time there, ma'am.
Councilmember, this is Joanna Eide, Assistant City Attorney. So that deadline is just kind of an end date so that the contract doesn't go on and on forever. Obviously, it would be, the police department's going to want to complete this work as soon as possible. And so when that work is done, the contract won't have any additional work to do, but wanting to set that end date just in case there's any additional wiggle room that's needed as those vehicles come into possession of the police department, and allowing for time for that installation to occur.
So we're not saying it's going to take that long. We're just saying, in the event that it does, correct?
Correct. It's not going to take 3 years.
The
to outfit
language.
these vehicles,
Okay.
definitely not.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, and Council President Kochmar.
Thank you very much, Chair. So, Officer Klingel, I'm sorry, are you Commander, Officer?
Commander, but
Thank
please,
you.
please call me Brian. My name is Brian.
Thank you. So, so there's 28 vehicles, and so 22,000 per vehicle, 5,000 per unmarked car, emergency equipment, and 1,000 per vehicle. I don't know if it's, all of that is included on each vehicle, but if you take the 20, I'm coming up with 744,000.
$22,000 is for each police vehicle, fully marked police vehicle that the officers that are responding to 911 calls
Yeah.
are in. That's the $22,000. Some of it is we have some detective cars that we're still waiting to outfit it on that are that have
Okay.
already been purchased and pending on, and that's the cheaper. That's the $10,000 if I recall, And then the other part is just like upkeep or maintenance for the
Okay,
vehicles.
so
there, ma'am.
do we have a total amount for what cost is going to be?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, I
The
apologize.
total amount for the cost for these 28 vehicles?
I don't know, ma'am. That I don't know. I know the vehicles were already pre-approved prior to today. I think they were approved at the end of 2022, early 2023 to purchase.
So, sure, I'm just trying to wonder how much came from ARPA funds? How much of that money was from ARPA?
I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that question, ma'am.
Okay. So, because.
It's in the financial impacts statement and the background memorandum, I think. You probably might find it there.
Well, thank you, Councilmember. Okay, so my concern is just that, you know, how we're going to replace them in the future, depending on how much money came from ARPA funds. I was trying to get at. I know it's not to exceed 850,000, but just trying to figure out. 2.9 mil. I see that. But that's not telling me how much these 28 vehicles are costing. Well, anyway, thank you. I guess I'm just. At some point, could you let me know how much is actually coming from the ARPA funds? The community center? No, for the 28 vehicles, how much is actually being covered by ARPA funds?
So, Councilmember, I'll talk with Lieutenant Klingel, or sorry, Commander Klingel. I'm getting used to your new title.
Still Brian,
We'll
please.
talk about that and talk with finance and get those numbers to you.
I'd be really appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
No further questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed amendment to the November 21st, 2023 consent agenda for approval.
Second, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It carries unanimously. Thank you, Brian. All right.
Ready for the next one, sir?
Oh, yes,
I
yes.
got three more
Go-
there,
go-
sir.
go- Oh, yes, you're right. Go right ahead. Item F, Internet Crimes Against Children, MOU between SPD and FWPD for funding for officer support activities training.
Yes. So the policy question for the council tonight is, should the city of Federal Way and the Federal Way Police Department enter into a memorandum of understanding with the city of Seattle Police Department to accept $10,000 in funding for officer support training and activities for officers who participate in the ICAT task force investigations? And a little bit more about this is, this grant's going to be used to provide or obtain training in the area of officer wellness. We already really use this money for various team building activities. We can sponsor like a Federal Way Police Department team to go like participate in in a local 5K. We have a Federal Way Department team, and we can participate in local events, et cetera. We'll also encourage staff to participate in various fitness activities to ensure a good, solid work-life balance. And it should be noted, this grant is completely separate from the other grant that we've received from ICAT, which is dedicated to the investigation and prosecution of crimes, of internet crimes against children. So this is a completely separate funding source. This is just straight, it's like officer wellness, has nothing to do with the actual investigation of crimes against children that are committed on the internet. What questions can I answer?
All right. Council President Kochmar.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay. Councilmember McDaniel.
Do we actually have a task force, or are we just part of the regional task force for this particular
We're
aspect?
kind of both, sir. So we do have a detective who does the term we use is ICAT crimes is what we call them. So we do have a detective that does ICAT crimes. Recently was at some training up here, and they had a conference, I believe in late September, early October, up in Bellevue for some additional training. So, but there's also a regional one that Seattle's kind of the leader of the program, so to speak, sir.
Okay. I'd be curious to get more information on that program for the local one to see what's going on with that. But that's not relevant to what this is, but I'd be interested to get more information on that.
Oh, as far as the regional task force, sir?
Actually, a local one first, just to see what's going on locally, if we can
Okay.
have something going on.
All right. Make a motion.
Okay,
else? Nope.
thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you. I move to forward the proposed memorandum of understanding to the November 21st, 2023 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It carries unanimously. All right, and on to.
You know, could you also, Commander, let us know, I think that the legislature said that we're no longer keeping lists of, or we're no longer publishing lists of children's, the molesters in the community. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't think we can't, there's laws that cover what we can release, what we can't release. I do know that they can, there's searches out there, you could find people who are registered sex offenders, you can find those. But as far as people who have been just accused, yeah, we definitely can't release that information.
So, but the ones that have been released from jail and they are now living in the neighborhoods, we used to be able to get a list of the
Conviction or pre or post-conviction, ma'am?
post.
Post-conviction, that information is readily
That's still
available.
available?
Yeah, that's still available, and we go out and do regular, we call them RSO checks, registered sex offender checks. We go do those based on their level of, so if they're, a lower level risk, we check on a peer, every so often. Higher risk, we check on definitely more often.
So how do we know if they're in our homeless community?
So the challenge is that you can register as a registered sex offender as transient. You can register with that, and we don't really know until we have contact with them. And then when we run their name, we get what we call a hit, or we get notified that they're a registered sex offender, and we could find out if they're in compliance with their registration fact. If they're out of compliance, a lot of times there'll be an arrest warrant for them, where we'll take them into physical custody, book them into jail for the failed to register violation.
Do we have many occurrences of that?
We do have some, and some of it is, when we go check on people, is sometimes we just miss them, they're just not home, so it's not a one and done check. We'll go, say we go check tonight, we knock on somebody's door and they don't answer, it's not just a one and done, we'll go back out and try to make contact with them, because we also want to know where they're at too, for the safety of the community, as well as to ensure that they're, staying within their release conditions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's see, and we already had the motion on that. Okay, so item G, Pierce Transit Extra Duty Police Services Interlocal Agreement Amendment 4.
Yes, sir. And the policy question for the council is, should the city of Federal Way, the Federal Way Police Department, amend the agreement with Pierce Transit to increase compensation and extend the term for extra duty police services? And a little bit more information on this is the Federal Way Police Department is requesting the authority to increase the hourly rate by 8.3% effective January of 2024. This rate increase is due to the wage increase by the guild contract for January of 2024, as well as covering the administrative cost of managing this contract. It should be noted there should not be any impact on either the city or the police budget, and the cost summary for this request is a little over $1.3 million. And what questions do you have for me, sir, or council?
I think that's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think, yeah.
I moved for the proposed amendment to the November 21st, 2023 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, and lastly for you, item H, Jail Services Agreement, Score Jail Amendment 1.
Yes, sir, council, members, council. The policy question is, should this Federal Way Police Department amend the current SCORE Jail Services Agreement to increase their service rates for 2024? And last but not, a little bit of information on this is we currently have 15 guaranteed beds at SCORE Jail. During the height of the pandemic, our jail bookings were limited, causing real limited bookings there. It was difficult to book people into jail in mid to late 2020 and into 2021. It was challenging to get people into custody. Currently now that more suspects are being booked into jail, and some of it is due to the various drug emphasis and other emphasis that we're conducting out here that I know the chief briefs you guys on, that some of those emphasis that we were still conducting. On average, each inmate is spending roughly 14 days in custody at the Score Jail. And last but not least, what else is driving some of these costs is that medical as well as mental health inmates just cost more to house than a traditional inmate, for lack of better words. And the amount that we're requesting is $822,000. Any questions?
Yeah, on this, let's see here. Councilman Daniel, do you have a question?
Do you know what percentage of our, what percentage of our convicts go to SCORE compared to some of the other jails? Because I know we go to multiple jails and that.
We
What
do
percentage?
go to multiple jails, so I know we book at Kent, we book at King County, we book at Score also. A lot of it depends on a couple factors of time of day. So like right now, we would try to go to Kent Jail first. They would be our primary choice. And depending if our guaranteed beds are full, then we may not be able to go there. And then it comes into kind of depending on what the charge is. If it's a felony charge, we'll definitely just go to King County Jail. We'll go to there. If it's a misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor charge, then we'll end up going to Score. So a lot of it depends on really what the charge is that kind of drives where we go, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
that makes sense. And then we actually have a bed count at each jail that we
Yes, we
contract
do.
with?
So I don't know how many guaranteed beds we have at Kent, that I don't know the answer to that. I want to say 4, but
Okay.
I'm not positive on that. And then King County Jail is really kind of our last resort for cost, as well as just driving to downtown's challenging. But any felony in custody, somebody we take into custody on a felony automatically goes downtown just because it's a felony case, and that's where the prosecutor's office is, et cetera.
Gotcha. And then what is the average, it's kind of rough to say this, what is the average cost, or how are they associated? Is that much difference between the Kent versus SCORE versus the county and stuff? Is there a big price difference?
I think Kent is a little cheaper than Score, and I think King County's the highest, but I don't have those I still don't have those exact numbers, sir.
And everything's à la carte anyways, once you get there, depending on what services that person needs, right?
Yes, sir, exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
So is this already figured in the budget amendment that we had?
I believe so. In
Previously.
the one that came up, I think they're asking, was like the 1.8 million, if I recall. I believe this is part of that money there, sir.
Okay, all right.
So
Yep.
is King
Councilor.
County still charging us for a full day if they release them a minute after midnight?
I don't know. I don't know the intimate details of the jail contracts, ma'am.
Okay, that's a game. All right.
All right, committee. I move to forward the proposed amendment to the SCORE Jail Services Agreement to the November 21st, 2023 Council Consent Agenda for approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It carries unanimously. All right. Thank you.
Anything else you guys need, anything else you need from me?
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Have a great night.
All right. All right, going on, item I, 2024 Diversity Commission Work Plan.
Good evening. One moment. Let me access the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Levi.
Yes. Is that right? No, not that I see. Mhm. Of course.
Sorry. Make sure that we, go ahead and share screen,
Okay.
and then just go ahead and share, because that way it's
Okay.
done, and then you're good to go.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. All right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Good evening, Chair Walsh, committee members Seffa Dawson, McDaniel, and Council President Kochmar. I appreciate this opportunity. The purpose of my presentation this evening is to introduce the 2024 Diversity Commission Work Plan and pose to you a policy question. And that is, should City Council approve the 2024 Diversity Commission Work Plan? I'm going to provide you a high-level overview of the Diversity Commission Work Plan and then take and field questions from you afterward. We'll begin with the mission statements, which have been updated in accordance with revised city code, illustrated there on the PowerPoint slide, as well as the Diversity Commission mission statement, which remains consistent from 2023. From there, I'll provide an overview of the community commitments, which consist of removing barriers and increasing accessibility for city services, collaborating with city leadership to eliminate all forms of discrimination, and increasing a sense of belonging and equitable access to information and opportunities within the city. Beyond that, we have a structural overview of the one-year strategic objectives, ongoing commission responsibilities and objectives, and the 2024 Diversity Commission projects and investments. There's a 2024 project timeline. You can see this on page 4 with under 2024 project overview. The projects and their timeline consist of the following: community listening sessions that will be ongoing, presenting to City Council and or committees in May and October, collaboratively creating and implementing an equity tool with city staff. This will be in March. The Martin Luther King Jr. event, or MLK event, implementing in 2024, and then planning from January through December, and the event being implemented again in January 2025. There's the Representative Roger Freeman Award, which will consist of planning from January to December, and the event in January 2025. This will be coupled and facilitated concurrently with the MLK event. Then there's the Federal Way Community Festival, formerly known as the Flavor of Federal Way, with planning being ongoing in the event occurring on August 10th. And then there is a consideration in the form of a feasibility study for an annual Black Tie Gala, and that will occur from January through December. And with that, I'll take questions.
Councilmember McDaniel.
My question is on the implementing of the equality tool. What exactly, it doesn't have, I mean, the description's pretty vague. What exactly is that going to compile of, or what is that exactly, I guess?
I'm sorry, Councilmember McDaniel, would you repeat the question?
Yeah.
I missed the first part, I apologize.
No problem. The project is the equity tool for
Yes.
city staff. The description doesn't really say much. What exactly is that supposed to be?
Yeah, so an equity tool,
79.
So an equity tool lays out a process and a set of questions to guide the development, implementation, and evaluation of policies, initiatives, programs that would occur within the city. So the equity tool works to ensure that inequitable processes are identified and hopefully addressed and rectified prior to us designing, developing, implementing a policy, program, initiative that would result in an equitable outcome.
What is the standards that are used to create that?
The question was, what are the standards?
Yeah. What are you measuring against? Like, where are we finding those things to measure against? That's what I'm confused on. I don't understand what we're measuring against to know if we are or not. Like, where those standards come from? Is there a booklet, or is there some kind of something out there already?
Yeah, I think what we've done, or what we're beginning to do in this collaborative design and development process, is research for best practices and market standards regarding equity tools that are in existence and being utilized within various municipalities. So we're currently researching, reviewing, analyzing, and considering aspects of different equity tools that we would want to potentially adopt and utilize within this tool. So there are already standards within, I guess, the DAI body of work at a municipal level.
Once you have something, I'd be curious to see what it is then.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is Councilmember Sefadossin, I don't see whether she has a hand up.
I do.
Yes.
I do. I do have my hand raised. Thank you for this work plan. And there's a lot of projects here, and I'm not sure if Diversity Commission encompasses all diversity, which includes race, gender, everything, or if it's more focused on events. And so I'll be curious to hear more about what Councilmember McDaniel talked about in terms of the equity tool. And there are several tools out there that we could utilize, and I think I can talk to you offline. But I see more events, and so yeah. Is that what the Diversity Commission is charged to do, or is there more to a Diversity Commission? Because we're talking about equity, diversity, and all these things. So I'm just wondering what else could be added to this list. And then my other question would be about the annual Black Tie Gala. I don't know, as a city, and this might be a question for Ms. Heidi, whether or not the city could actually host something like this, because it's a fundraiser. So can the city do fundraising in this format?
So, Councilmember, I'll just jump in and answer that one really quickly before I pass it back over to Levi. So I don't know if I don't know if conceptually they're thinking of doing a fundraising event or not. It could be a variety of different things that a Black Tie Gala could encompass. There's a lot of events that get put on by different commissions throughout the year. A few things come to mind, but the Arts Commission obviously does a few events too. So depending upon what the goal and objectives of the gala would be, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem. I mean, I suppose if there were issues with fundraising, we could work through those, but I don't know if they've gotten that far yet in thinking about it.
So if it's fundraising, though, they need to probably check. And see
Absolutely,
our
and
policies.
that's,
Okay.
yeah, and that would be something that the staff that supports, city staff that supports the Diversity Commission, and that the Diversity Commission would work through them to talk with me as the attorney that is assigned to this commission, as well as various others.
Okay.
I can provide I'm sorry. I can provide a bit more context and background as I understand the Black Tie Gala. I believe that it was, as illustrated here under goals and objectives, an annual Black Tie Gala with influential community members, I believe, to further honor and celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay. Councilmember Sefadossin, did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I had my mute button on again. So in that case, it would be around January, February then, if it's, okay, due dates are January through December. Okay, that's neither here or there. Okay, that's fine. But then my other question about what else the Diversity Commission could be doing, or, because it seems like it's all events, and if that's what they're commissioned to do, then that's fine. But I just, I'm wondering, especially when we're looking at the equity toolkit, or how that would translate into what the city's doing as a whole in terms of staff, council, how it relates to the rest of us, and then all the community engagement that they're looking at. Do you know what the outreach process is like? Because it also says businesses, so are they going to contact other businesses in the area? And how do we reach the public for public input or to have a dialogue? Because a lot of times I know people do come to the mayor's quarterly forum. There would be a lot of people who attend those, but I don't know how else we can engage the public to come to these events, to be a part of, or to be in the, to have the discussion that the commission sets forth. So,
Well,
yeah,
thank you for.
I'm asking a lot of questions.
No,
but
no,
I-
no, you're totally fine. No, I appreciate them. They're relevant. On page 4 of the Diversity Commission work plan, it's presented to you. Under 2024 project overview, you can see project name in the far left-hand column. There you see community listening sessions. Below that, you see present to city council and our committees. Below that, on page 5, follow along with me on the left-hand side column, you see collaboratively create and implement an equity tool with city staff. All of these projects are outside of that of event planning and facilitation. I think these are important to note, and that one of the, I think, the primary responsibilities, at least that has been assumed and performed by the Diversity Commission, is event planning and facilitation in partnership and collaboration with the community. But there are additional projects that they are going to be focusing on within 2024. And those consist of those that I just illustrated for you. So the community listen sessions and a description provided in the column directly to the right, being description. You can read those and get a better understanding that their scope is beyond that of event planning. And that includes community outreach and engagement, as well as designing and developing and hopefully implementing an equity tool to ensure that programs, policies, initiatives are more equitable in nature and in their outcomes.
Okay,
Thank you.
I do have more questions, but I can talk to you about them
Okay.
offline or
wonderful.
email you.
All right.
All right,
Council
thank you so
President-
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Council President Kochmar.
Well, thank you, Levi. This is a very ambitious work plan. So I don't know how they're going to get all that work done, but, I can certainly congratulate them for being very ambitious. But my thing, what I would worry about, back to Councilmember McDaniel's question about equity tools. So what they're tasked with is to advise the council or to investigate and then present. So my concern would be, I don't want them, they would be overstepping their bounds if they thought they would change a policy of the city. They can advise that this could happen, and we would certainly take that under advisement. So I don't know what they're planning. It's kind of, it's very involved, and so it's a lot to take in. And another question I have is Federal Community Festival, what is that?
That's formerly the Flavor of Federal Way.
Oh, that's what they're calling it,
Yes.
okay, so I know at one point they said that they needed more money for advance. Is that true? Is that what they're still asking, or?
The money that was requested within a budget amendment request that was submitted by Sarah Bridgeford, I believe, was in an allocation increase for both MLK and Representative Roger Freeman. I don't believe that there has been a budget amendment request submitted for the Federal Way Community Festival.
Okay.
That still remains at
I see.
7,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So they don't have anything here telling me what the MLK Festival will be. I see the listening sessions and presentations to the city and equity tools, but what are they planning? Well, here's it is on,
Page.
they're going to honor, but are they going to do something again at the Performing Arts Center? What is the plan?
Yes, that's my understanding. The space has been reserved, cost of labor and catering accounted for January, January 15th, 2024.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, and there's a lot here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, we wanted to present to you Obviously, a work plan, but also a task analysis. So we could begin to break down not only the general responsibilities, but the tasks that would have to be incrementally pursued and accomplished to achieve these goals. We want to ensure that the work plan is ultimately more intelligible and actionable.
So, and we can approve it, but the question really is, can they do all that work? I mean, you know, we can certainly say, sure, go ahead, but if we say, sure, go ahead, then I need to know, are they going to request more money? What is it that they're going to need in order to do all this work? I mean, I don't have a clear idea.
So I think as far as the scope of work and the amount of time, energy, and resources that will be invested, and this would include staff time, I believe that all of this is accounted for. And that would be illustrated within the project overview in terms of the commission tasks, the due dates, not only due dates for the item or the project, but also the planning and preparation that would go into it. In addition to that, I will be staffing the Diversity Commission, providing them support and guidance and high-level basic project management in the background to ensure that, again, these things are better illuminated and accounted for, pursued, and accomplished in a timely manner. As far as the funding is concerned, I don't know if we anticipate submitting another budget amendment request. I wouldn't anticipate that being the case for MLK or Representative Roger Freeman, as it has already been submitted. As far as the Federal Way Community Festival, I'm not sure. We have not broached that topic yet. There's one other point that I want to follow up on. You had asked about the equity tool and if that was an overreach or if it was scope creep. I don't think that's the case. And the reason why is I think that they would utilize the equity tool, the commissioners, in partnership and collaboration with city staff to better analyze, to have a better informed opinion, to then provide advisement or guidance to the city council. It is not to necessarily inform or direct. It is not to creep in to your scope and co-opt your work at all.
Oh, yeah, I just didn't want them to have a clear delineation of what our duties are. And they're, I mean, God bless them, it's fabulous scope of work. I don't know how they're going to get it all done, but okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I add something, please?
Certainly.
Yeah, I think their mission statement really is clear about what they plan to do. It's always to inform the council. And so I think that's clear because it says provide guidance to the city council to create a more equitable, accessible, safe, and welcoming and inclusive government and community. And I think, you know, all the commissions and committees that we have, they do inform the council and they help us make all these, make their recommendations to help and guide the council to come to decisions because, you know, a lot of this we can't do on our own anyway and by ourselves. So I think based on what they say they're going to do their mission statement, I think what they're proposing their work plan is also in line. And they continuously say to inform and update the council. So I think what I see here is really what they're saying, and it is to inform council and to update council with these activities. And these activities are really necessary for our city to be inclusive and equitable. So just wanted to make that comment. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Levi. With no further questions, do we have a motion? Councilmember Daniel.
I move to forward the proposed 2024 Diversity Commission Work Plan to the November 21st, 2023 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It's approved unanimously. Thank you, Levi. All right. Going on, item J, First Amendment to the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. So Kim Backrack.
Good evening, Chair Walsh, Council President Koshmar, council members. Let's see if I can get this right. All right. This evening, I'm going to present to you the First Amendment to the 2023 Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Annual Action Plan. The policy question before you this evening: should City Council approve the First Amendment to the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan? A little bit of an overview for the CDBG program. This is a program of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, providing annual grants to jurisdictions to provide decent housing, sustainable living environments, and expanded economic opportunities, primarily for low to moderate income persons. CDBG has 3 national objectives. All projects must meet one of these objectives. 1, to benefit low to moderate income persons, and this is where all of our projects currently fall. 2, elimination of slums and blight, and 3, urgent need. The 2020-2024 Consolidated Plan, or the CON Plan, is a plan to assess affordable housing, community development needs, and market conditions to facilitate place-based funding of local projects. The 2020-2024 CON Plan goals are: 1, to expand economic opportunities; 2, to preserve affordable housing; 3, to prevent and address homelessness; 4, to establish and maintain suitable living environments. And this is the CON Plan that we're currently in. And these CON Plans are implemented by the annual action plans. So what is an annual action plan? This is required by HUD for any jurisdiction that receives CDBG funds. It is a summary of planned actions and activities demonstrating how federal funds will support the community in achieving goals and outcomes set forth in the CON Plan. 2023 is the 4th year of the city's adopted plan, 2022-24 CON Plan. It is a technical document produced in HUD's database and management system. So there are caps on public services administration with the CDBG funds that we receive. 20% are able to go to planning and administration, 15% to public service, and the remaining funds to community economic revitalization funding, or SURF. So the amendment that I'm proposing before you this evening for the 2023 Annual Action Plan, it has 3 parts. First, for Multi-Service Centers Villa Capri, proposing to add $71,727 for a total of $400,000. You'll notice this project was approved last year at this time for the 23 Annual Action Plan. We're proposing to add additional funds to this for them to be able to more fully complete the project. Then we have the Habitat for Humanity minor home repair. The proposal is to name Habitat as the subrecipient, so the funding will stay at $100,000. And thirdly, the Habitat for Humanity housing repair program, adding the program for $150,000, reallocates funds from the prior year city-run housing repair program allocations. And the reason that we had extra funding left in that pot is because we had few applications or projects that were able to move forward. So we're proposing that we move that to Habitat's program. The timeline: October 16, we had a public hearing at the Human Services Commission. November 21, there'll be a public hearing in council consideration. And then you'll see in spring and summer 2023 is when we submit it to HUD, and you can read the details there as well. And are there any questions for me this evening?
Hey, Councilmember McDaniel.
It mentioned low to moderate incomes. What is the threshold to classify as low to moderate incomes for this?
Off the top of my head, a household of 2 at 80% King County's AMI, or area medium income, is right around $80,000. So it's based on the number of individuals in the household, so people live in the house, and then it's below 80% of the area median.
Okay. So that actually is going to qualify for a decent chunk of the federal residents then? Thank you.
And Council President Coachman.
Remind me where Villa Capri is? I know what it, I can't remember where it is.
272nd, or isn't it, yeah, military,
That's the one at 270, okay, thank you.
Yep.
east corner, or, well, no, not the northeast, anyway, that area. So,
Another note on Villa Capri is that we have come across some environmental challenges. For every project, we have to do an environmental review by HUD standards. And so there is a possibility that an additional amendment would come forth asking for additional funds if that is needed, if HUD directs that is needed. But we'll overcome that when we get to it.
what type of challenge was that?
In a environmental review, there was a gas station nearby that had some like spilling. We have yet to find what the cleanup is or cost is.
Wow. Okay. All right. Council President Kuchma?
So basically, we get, so you're saying we usually get 770, we usually get 500,000, but now it's 778,000 for, now this is for 2023. And we had leftover money from last year that this money is then going to, so the leftover money is money that was not spent by the projects that we had already approved for 2022?
I believe so.
Okay, and so it's about 323,000 that didn't get spent and we're now spending?
Yes. Do you know more about that?
So it's not really new money, it's just money we've already been allocated.
That's correct. And specifically on the housing repair program, we came to council in the spring, I don't know which month, asking about moving the city's housing repair program to an external party because of the challenges that the city has had and the just scope of our projects and program, even getting contractors has been a struggle. Amy did phenomenal work in engaging additional contractors, but we still were not getting bids and responses to our request for bids. So this is following up to that. It's actually moving the city's housing repair program funds from prior years that were still remaining into this project.
So what you're telling me is the people that needed their roof repaired and the low-income folks haven't been applying, or they haven't been able to get bids, or?
It's a combination. Sometimes it's that we haven't seen an application. It changed quite a bit in the pandemic. We had a year where it was really slow, so we're still kind of recouping from that. In some cases, they have not been eligible. We had a couple projects where we couldn't, like a chimney repair, where we couldn't get a mason to bid the project. So it just depends on the situation, but lots of factors that came into play.
Yeah, but what's a great idea, it just didn't work out, so, yeah.
Yes, and we think that given Habitat's scope and the fact that they have
They can
a
get it
much
done.
broader network of contractors who are already getting work, they have internal staff who can actually do a lot of the work as well and are certified and qualified to do those projects, that they'll have an easier time for implementing.
Thank you.
All right. Lydia, or Councilmember Seth Dawson, I don't see you. I don't know whether you have a hand up or not.
No, I do not, thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, then Councilmember McDaniel.
I'm just going to make the motion. Okay. I move to forward the proposed First Amendment to the 2023 CDBG Annual Action Plan to the November 21st, 2023 agenda for public hearing.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It carries unanimously. All right, item K, Program Year 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. And Kim, you get to carry on.
Yes, good evening once again. So this evening, I'm going to present to you the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan. The policy question before you: should City Council approve the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan? You'll see that these slides are quite similar to your previous presentation, so I'm not going to read them all for you again. They're the exact same ones.
Thank you.
So a reminder, for the CDBG funds, 20% goes to planning and admin, 15 can go to public service, and the remainder to SURF. So program administration, which is that 20%, is sitting at $156,660. This includes general program oversight and implementation activities such as requests for proposals, contracting and subrecipient compliance, drafting of CDBG plans and reports, and other related administrative requirements, and community engagement and outreach. The 15% here that we're proposing are for public services, our apprenticeship and non-traditional employment for women, or ANU, at $12,000, Federal Way Inclusion Program at $30,000, Orion Employment Services at $18,000, and Solid Grant at $56,000, for a total of $116,000. You may recognize these as the same programs that were awarded last year. We do run our contracts on a 2-year cycle, so they are the same programs, they just need to be approved again. For the SURF, or Community Economic Revitalization Funding, we're proposing to fund Habitat Minor Housing Repair Program at $100,000, Habitat for Humanity Home Repair Program at $146,649, in Highline Business Development Programs at $100,000, totaling $346,649. So you'll see this is, again, a similar timeline. October 16 was public hearing, November 21 was a public hearing, or will be a public hearing, and then will be submitted to HUD as well. Any questions on this one?
Councilmember McDaniel.
I just want to verify, the Habitat for Humanity, this is completely separate from what we just talked about, right?
Yes.
This is for next year, okay.
Yeah, that one previous was 2023, and this will be for 2024, but the same program.
Gotcha. And then, just out of curiosity, for the Habitat for Humanity, since the last one we handed off to them, is the city in the middle of the residents getting in touch with them, or is it strictly the residents reach out to Habitat, and Habitat takes it from there forward?
So moving forward, we will, if they call the city and inquire about housing repair, I'll just refer them directly to Habitat. The city will still have to run the environmental review. So we will be still seeing who is applying, or whose applications are moving forward. And so we'll be coordinating pretty closely on the program.
And does Habitat, do they then give you an update on projects, status, and all that stuff, and check them off when they're done and stuff? Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Sefadasan, I don't know if you have a hand up.
Yes, I do have a question with Orion Employment Services. So the goal supported says establish and maintain suitable living environment. Can you help me make the connection between the living environment and employment services that they provide?
Most often, you'll see public services that get tied to the goal, establish and maintain suitable living environments. It's a function of HUD's 3 options that we have. We've added homelessness, but even within the system, that one doesn't quite line up. So most of our public services will tie back to that established suitable living environments, and that would be true in the case of Orion.
So would it be accurate if I say due to the fact that they're being employed, maybe their housing would be suitable?
Suitable living environment is actually general community, so it can be any type of social service program that we have certain eligible programs, but it's really quite broad. It is not about housing in this case.
Not about housing.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, Council President Kochmar.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, so if I'm a low-income person, I come to the Federal Way and ask for help with my roof, then you will refer them to Habitat. Is that correct? Is that what
Yes,
I'm
once
hearing?
this year's over.
Oh, that's great. So how do we get the information out to the public so that they know they can come in and apply?
So currently, we have information on the website. I know the Senior Commission also advertises for us. We get quite a few folks that referred that way.
Oh, so we don't have a lack of people who are applying?
I would say we could always have more. I mean, if if we had a plethora of people, we might have used all of the funds. But the issue is, well, so combination, Habitat will have the ability to market the program more than we do, just because they already have so many programs in the region. But
So maybe we could, at the next council meeting, when we, it's going to be on the consent agenda, but if we can announce that, you know, if you want to apply, you would go to Human Services at the city and apply for, if you're low income. And low income for a single person would be 40,000 a year,
no, it's quite a bit higher than that.
45,000 a year,
I don't know off the top of my head.
about in that
I
range.
want to say like 65 or 70.
For a single person?
person, wow.
We can have it at next presentation. Yeah.
And then two would be 80,000?
Yeah, and it's based on, so 80% of the King County's
Yeah,
median income.
and I've lost track of that totally, so.
That's okay.
I don't know, it keeps going up. So, so a family of four would be, you know, this isn't just for seniors, this is for all low-income residents, so a family of four could have quite a high income and not realize that they would be eligible.
Yeah, it's not tremendously difficult for a family to be eligible based on income in the area.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
And if you are able to advertise the program more from where you sit, happy to
Oh,
do that.
good. We will do that, thank you.
Remember that. If it's 80% of the average county income, it would probably be approximately 40% of the county residents, roughly. Yeah. So, yeah.
So unless it's different for housing, I think for a family of one at 80% is 70,650.
That's correct.
So, yeah.
Oh.
And then at 30% would be 28,880. So 80% don't qualify, correct?
Under 80%.
So anything under 80 could be 30, 50, 60, whatever. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. All right.
I move to forward the proposed 2024 CDBG Annual Action Plan to the November 21st, 2023 agenda for public hearing.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Carries unanimously. All right, thank you, Kim. And lastly, item L, ARPA grants for financial literacy and workforce development. Sarah Bridgeford.
Before you leave, can I just ask one question? So if a person is living in a rental home and they're low income and they need their roof repaired, can they still apply, or, because a lot of people rent at that level? You have to be a homeowner. Okay, thank you, sorry. Just want to get my information accurate.
No, I can't do that. I think I did that wrong. I'm out of practice. There we go. Okay. Good evening, Chair Walsh, members of the committee, Council President Kochmar. This evening I'll be talking about our ARPA grants, and I have the title wrong, ARPA grants for financial literacy and workforce development. The policy question before you is, should City Council approve the proposed financial literacy and workforce development ARPA grant award recommendations? Just a quick overview. You heard about CDBG program. We also have general fund grants that are provided to offer services to residents of the city. And then this is a third one-time funding opportunity through ARPA. And council had committed $3 million towards social services. I'll show you what those funds are going to, just as a friendly reminder. Tonight, we'll be talking about the financial literacy and workforce development. There's $650,000 that's being discussed this evening. Housing stability and basic needs was funded at $8 million. That was approved in July of 2023 and is underway with contracts still being executed, but projects in progress. Same with youth programming at 1.2 million, approved in July and underway. Fully funding the Human Services General Fund grants to cover the unfunded balance, which is underway. And then a nonprofit facility usage pilot also underway that's providing access through the community center in Dumas Bay. And then finally, a small amount for community engagement and legal notices that we have been applying for our RFPs when we put out those notices, other marketing, some translation, and community engagement as well. The number of applications that we received were 11 applications. This was following the application period that ran from August 18th through September 15th. A total of over $3 million was requested across those applications. Our Human Services Commissioners read and evaluated all of the applications. The Commission made a recommendation to fund 4 programs. The first of which is Casa Latina Workforce Development in the amount of $175,000. This program is providing job training and skills program for the domestic field. A lot of that might be cleaning, in-home care, child care. They do both the job training portion as well as the business side, so getting licensed, any other requirements that they would need to do that legally within the city. And El Centro de la Raza is recommended for the Financial Empowerment Program for $150,000. This is a mix of classroom-style financial literacy as well as one-on-one coaching. Fusion is recommended for $175,000 for the Poverty Bay Jobs Training Program, primarily focusing on the food industry. This program would be working with young adults as the target audience and getting them into some soft skills training, job training, so that they would be more ready to go into a job. And then the YWCA with the Economic Empowerment Program. This is a hybrid financial literacy and workforce development. They have workshops on financial literacy, one-on-one coaching, and then they do the same with career navigation. So really looking at those mechanisms of stabilizing a financial situation and opportunities to grow income in the future. And they're recommended for $150,000. All 4 of the recommended programs would be running from 2024 through 2026. And then we did have a number of other applications, unfortunately not funded or not recommended for funding, and they're listed there as well as in your packet. An alternate proposal has come up with Councilmember Dovey, and that's what you'll see on the screen this evening. That proposal includes 3 recommendations for, 3 of the recommendations rather, for Casa Latina, Fusion, and the YWCA programs. Additionally, this proposal would fund a continuation of the financial literacy workshops being offered with the city, and those are the Financial Peace University workshops, and then adding the potential of similar sessions with a local credit union. And that would be funded at $100,000 for, I think the idea is between 3 and 4 sessions each, or cohorts each through 2024. And that would leave $50,000 unallocated in this proposal. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, if you could go back one. Personally, I prefer this proposal just because of financial literacy workshop I've taken, and I've actually enjoyed it. And I think some of the people who've taken it have given some great feedback and made some accomplishments in it. So I know that one a little bit more. I'm not sure about the credit unions. That's something we'll figure out. So I just want to verify each one of them if I understand correctly. So Casa Latina is going to be predominantly domestic jobs, it sounds like. So it's going to be cleaning, childcare, and what was the other one?
They also had things, I think it was something that they called in-home care, so that might be like caregiving in the home.
Okay.
Yep.
And then is that targeted, I mean, is it anybody can walk in, or do they have a set group of people they've already worked with who are just going to be added to, and we're just going to facilitate additional training for people they've already started with?
This is an expansion, so they would be able to take additional clients as well.
Okay.
And I think it's okay to say that a lot of our nonprofits, even if they're doing an expansion, if they're already connected in certain communities, that can be like a way that they're getting referrals. So you may see some of that it would be open as well.
Okay. Gotcha. And then for Fusion, can you clarify, is this actually for the jobs at the Poverty Bay, or is this something separate from what's actually going on currently at Poverty Bay?
It is separate. This would be additive to what they're doing. So they would be hiring staff to facilitate the training program and running job placement as well. So they are proposing an 20-hour week training program for 8 weeks, I believe, and then at that point would work with job placement.
Okay. And are they doing the training at the cafe, or is it at, do you know what facilities they'll be using for this kind of stuff?
They did list both of their facilities. They have a full commercial kitchen at their shelter, at the Pete Anderson Family Shelter, as well as the Poverty Bay location, so they'll be using both locations.
And do they have a pipeline for the job opportunities for this one?
That I think is unclear in my mind. I don't recall. Kim, do you recall offhand? We can follow up on that.
I appreciate that. And then you said soft skills and stuff like that. Are they looking at teaching for the restaurant industry, the food service industry? Is that the main focus for that one?
That's correct.
Okay. And do we have a ballpark, or what kind of, is that, I guess you'll find out and give me, I'll wait till I get a response to the other question I asked. And then the YWCA, what exactly, a little more detail on that one. What exactly, job training? Is it more than just job training? Is it placement too? Or can you give me a little more detail on that?
That one in particular is not job training. It is a career navigation. So they'll do job placement services, but they're working with people to help find those jobs. And that's following the financial literacy and the one-on-one coaching. So lots of relationship building and knowledge of what would work for that family.
Gotcha.
Or that person.
And then do most of these work with what we're going to classify as low to moderate income from the previous conversation then?
All of them do, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I noticed the funding is for 3 years. If we start to fund one of these projects and it turns out that it's not producing the results we'd like, do we have review centers and a point that we can make a determination that this project is not penciling the way it was supposed to?
Yes, so we have our first review in summer of 2024, and that's intentional because with the ARPA funds, the city may reobligate funding through 2024, and we'll want to look at performance at that point and make sure that they're on track and hitting targets for these programs.
Okay.
And then we do review annually as well.
Gotcha. And then last one I have is, each one of these programs, by that time frame, will they have someone who's gone through the whole system, or are these an annual program that takes a full year cycle to go through?
Yeah, I think you'll see a mix. So in the case of Casa Latina and the Poverty Bay Cafe Jobs Training, they have shorter cycles. So we should see some outcomes and outputs. With the YWCA and, with the YWCA program, and talking about the alternate proposal, they will have had workshops, but their intention with the program is potentially a longer engagement. So you'll see people at various stages. It's not that short, time-limited program that has a clear end. Probably similar to Casa Latina that has some ongoing services that come with it. So we'll see some outcomes, but we may see more of the financial stability and career navigation take a little bit longer. We should see change with the workshop model at least and some of the one-on-one. But that's a longer term, they have more
Relationship.
engagement on that one.
Gotcha. And then last item is, like I said, the literacy one, I have worked with the finance group, and I do know that some of the people were pretty stoked, and they said they would actually come in and let us know about it. So on the other groups, I'd love it if we get to that point, if they have some people who really benefit from it. I want to hear the benefits. I want to actually see the results that some of this spend that we have. I want to make sure it's going to be utilized properly for the residents. So just my 2 cents on that one.
Thank you.
Right. Council President Kochmar.
Sure. Does Lydia have anything?
Lydia, do you have your hand up? We don't see it.
I do?
All right. Go ahead then.
Oh, go ahead, Linda. I can wait.
Oh, thank you. So as with your question, Councilmember McDaniel, on the Fusion Poverty Bay, yeah, this is something that they've been wanting to do for a long, long time. And what they do is I've been going there every Sunday to help with a group of people to help, support what they're doing. And they're doing a great job. So they take the people that have been in a difficult situation. They can't get a job. They don't have skills. So they're training them with a very useful skill. And they're doing a great job because the food's pretty good. So that's at Poverty Bay at the cafe there. So with regard to the city's Financial Peace University, I think that partnering with the local credit unions is a great idea because the credit unions want to offer financial training, and maybe we'll get this started, but they could probably extend that, I would think, that training. I think that they offer that on their own. So I think that that's a good idea. And I would think that folks from like El Centro de la Raza would be able to attend that too, although they probably might need a Spanish-speaking person at the time, but perhaps we could offer this in different languages. I don't know. But, so it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's something we discussed, is that we need to investigate if the programs are available in other languages. So we will find that out. And Councilmember Asif-Hadasan.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. Yes, in looking at all the programs here, I would still suggest that El Centro be considered. One for language, and then the other one is a lot of their programs are relationship building. It's not just about the financial literacy, but it's also about connecting those people to other resources. So I believe it would be worthwhile considering to keep. YWCA, I used to be one of their financial literacy or financial resiliency facilitators. So I do know what they do, and the work is very powerful. And like Sarah said, the relationship building, the 6-month one-on-one, and also the financial incentives that they provide people to pay off a bill or to somehow manage their finances is really incredible. And this has been going on for a number of years. But also the location they identified happens to be where I work. That's where my office is located. So I'm glad that YWCA is going to be funded because of my personal involvement. I don't do it anymore, but I'm on call if they need someone to come and help them with any of their financial literacy programs. And then when the economic empowerment, one of the things they also do is like bank teller training that they offer, and with pipeline into the banking industry. So there are things that YWCA does that is really beneficial around the economic empowerment realm. With the Financial Peace University, I too attended a number of them when I could. And yes, I did like the program. There were some nuggets and some tools that were very helpful. But I don't think we had as many people as we wanted. So I don't even believe what we was allocated in the past was all expended. And so instead of 100,000, I would, in consideration to bring back El Centro, I would like to see that reduced. And I don't know if local credit unions charge anyway, because that's part of their program that they offer to residents. And so instead of 100,000, I would definitely suggest or support lowering that amount and taking the an allocated amount, the 50,000, and bringing back El Centro for the population they serve also. And then with local credit unions, each credit union has different modalities and different, curriculums that they use. So it would be great to review different ones, because BECU, for instance, has a really good, robust program And I forgot which credit union Member Dovey had in mind, but I would really like to see the different curriculums and see which ones are very beneficial or helpful to people. And again, I go back to 100,000 is not what I would suggest for that program. Rather, bringing back El Centro and somehow taking the whole 150 and maybe split it between the two programs is what I would love to see. So that's my input.
Right,
for
thank
this
you,
recommendation.
Councilmember Sefadossin. One thing that I had suggested is to keep Centro de la Raza in the loop is to, I think that some of these other programs are available in Spanish, and to see if they would like to host these programs that we're funding, but host them at their location so that we'll be able to fully serve their clientele there. And so I think that that's a possibility that we should investigate as well.
But they already have their own program. So now we're telling them, take this, we don't want what you have, but work with this is what we're saying. And I don't think that's really how I'd like to see it happen.
Okay, all right.
So-
Well, one thing, this is going to the business agenda rather than consent agenda for next week, so we'll be able to discuss it further. One question
Okay.
that I do have, a couple of questions. First, going back to the financial literacy workshops, is that the 100,000 that on the recommendation, but it's just for 2024. The other programs are 2024 through 2026. I mean, I was going to say that 50,000 remaining. Why aren't we just putting it into 2025?
So the way that ARPA works, and I'll say generally ARPA and then provide information on how the financial literacy workshop was implemented to the best of my knowledge, although I will definitely consult with Bill Vidino, who implemented that, and clarify that for next week, just to make sure this is accurate. That with the ARPA funds, funds have to be obligated by the end of 2024. So we can do that in certain circumstances with contracts, like we are for the other grant recommendations. We can't do that with, as an example, personnel. So if you were funding my position with ARPA, it's not considered obligated for 2025. It'd only be costs incurred in 2024. So in the case of the financial literacy workshops where they were covering things like childcare, some food, other incentives, the city was purchasing those directly and then providing them. So that's not a cost that's incurred or obligated in 2024 for future years, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right, thank you. One other question is with the programs, with Casa Latina, the Fusion, YWCA, all of those, is how many individuals do we think that we'll be putting through the programs? I think that's really where the rubber meets the road is how many individuals are going to benefit from it.
So Casa Latina is roughly 150. It's just under that over the 3-year period. They start at about 40, I think, and get up to 50 in 2026. Fusion is 20 per year, so 60 total. The YWCA, I am blanking, but I can look that up in just a moment and have that as well for next year. El Centro de la Raza, while not funded, was at about 300 over that 3-year period
Okay.
as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
A question on the numbers that we used, was that on the full requested amount, or was that on the recommended amount?
That is the full. So El Centro de la Raza in particular would be reduced. I don't know that the others would be.
Okay. And then the other one is, I just wanted to understand for clarity, even though I know it's going to council. Councilmember Lydia had mentioned that you looking at saying that you would split the cost between the two? Or are you looking at reallocating all of them to be different?
I would, I'm okay with it, with splitting. I do not want, how do I say this? I want El Centro to be funded, and the figure that Sarah just quoted, I mean, 300 people is a lot.
That's at
with-
400,000. Can you back up one slide, please?
Yes.
That's at $440,000 worth of funding.
There would be some scaling to that project, and that would be a conversation we would have to have with them, and we can do that before next Tuesday, just to make sure that they would be able to even implement any level of program at that amount.
Okay. I think that'd be, if you could find out like what the new numbers would be with the new rates, that would probably be really beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah. And Sarah, question for you. Does ARPA funds don't have to go to nonprofits? Yes? Is that?
In general, no. ARPA funds do not. These are, the city's policy has been that for our social service grants that they are to nonprofits, and there's a provision in state law with the gift of public funds, which I think is what that has been based on. There has been talk about whether or not that could be broadened at a future time.
So with Financial University and what was the other one? Financial institutions or credit unions. How do those fit into the ARPA program then, especially with the financial university program?
Well, they're not funded, so that's a volunteer-based facilitation. What was happening is the city was purchasing the workbooks and then doing like the childcare, food, and other incentives through the city directly rather than through Financial Peace University. So similarly, I think the credit union would be volunteering their time to deliver the curriculum and the workshops, and then the other costs that are associated would be what you see reflected there.
So okay, in that case, even more so, 100,000 to go to that program, I feel is a little too high. So yeah, okay, we're gonna talk about it on November 21st. So I think this would be a discussion worth having, but I would like to really reconsider that and again, split that between the two, including the 50,000. We can split it between the two organizations somehow, or the two programs, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lydia. All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
I move to forward the proposed.
Could I ask a question? first?
Sorry about
That's
that. I
okay,
didn't
we're
see
good.
your light on.
No
Council
problem.
President Coachman.
That's fine. For information for the next meeting, I'd just be curious if you could do a little recap on what El Centro de la Raza and Federal Way. I mean, El Centro de la Raza in Seattle is great, and they're doing fine in Federal Way. But I believe that in Federal Way they've received $4 million from Congressman Adam Smith for the Patterson's West. And I believe that BECU gave them a housing stability grant in 2022. So I'm just wondering, how many more grants that they've received. It's such a small amount of money. I'm just wondering, weighing the two and how we.
But this is a targeted program. It's financial literacy. So the other fundings are already dedicated for something like capital project and
Sure.
or, like you said, housing stability. So
Sure, but I'm just trying to weigh the two so that we can marry the two and try to, create, so if we have, the program and we offer the program at the facility at El Centro de la Raza, that would be able to be a 50-50, in other words. So just trying to figure out how we can do moderate this. But
they have their own program. Yeah, they have their own program. So I really would not think it's a good idea to say host it at your place. But hey, who am I to say that? They might agree. But I feel like
if we couldn't talk to them, I think that'd be interesting. So if they have their own program, that's great. And so we would then be funding the program that they already have so that the money they have then could, I'm just saying, how do we reach the most people with the few funds that we have? I'm just trying to figure that out. So I would just be interested in hearing what El Centro de la Raza has received in the last couple of years for Federal Way.
So are you talking about this particular program, though, the financial literacy program? Correct? Because the others are for other programs. We all know that. We don't mix funds that
No,
come
no,
for
I
one
know
project
that.
or the other.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're right, Councilmember Sapadowson. But if you take the money and you say, gee, here you are to this agency, well, they've already, that's a program they've already perhaps funded, I don't know. And then we've left the other empty, nothing there. So maybe we could merge the two programs. So,
That's why I'm saying split the funding is what I'm saying. Merging,
Okay,
I
well,
still
we're probably
don't see
saying
how
the
that
sa-
works.
Yeah, we're probably saying the same thing, just in different ways. So, yeah, I'd just be hearing, interesting in how we can
Okay.
split it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Councilmember McDaniel.
I move to forward the proposed financial literacy and workforce development grant recommendations to the November 21st, 2023 council business agenda for approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 It passes unanimously. All right, and that, thank you very much, Sarah and Kim, for sticking out to the end. So, any other,
Can I say one more thing, though? I'm sorry.
sure, go ahead.
Oh, wait. The Human Services Commission did recommend El Centro. Never mind. Okay, that answers my question. I kind of don't want to go against what they're recommending also, because they've looked at these applications.
Okay, okay.
So that's my other comment.
All right. All right.
Sorry.
Any other, okay. Our next meeting will be January 9th, 2024, next year at 5 PM. And we stand adjourned.
Thank you and good night.
Good night, Lydia.